Welcome everyone to First Look Sports Talk. I'm your host, Angel Dallas Reyes. Got our co-host here.
Jay Wood, feel me? Back to you.
Welcome in, welcome in. In the last episode, broke down NFC East. We're gonna continue to break down all these NFL divisions. We're gonna hit the NFC West now. Kind of going, like I say, from worst to best division. Um, yeah, let's get into it.
From the worst to the best.
Before we get into it, though, always subscribe, like this video, comment,
It's
leave
right.
it. Of course. Without further ado, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna hit the Seattle Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, won a division, 12-4. A lot has happened with this team. It's been a lot of conversations. They did lose some people, Shaquille Griffin and Carlos Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
Not make or break for the team, but starters that contributed last year. But you can always go out there and find some more contributors. Brought in another a corner, Witherspoon from San Francisco. Added Gerald Everett and Gabe Jackson. So those are two pieces that they added to the offense, because they felt like they had to. I know Russ is out there talking, hey, I want more intel, I want more say in what the personnel, what we're gonna bring in.
He's putting a little bit of pressure on the Seahawks. See how they're gonna react to it. I mean, he's been the most sacked person since he's came into the league. I'm
something
pretty
like
sure.
that. Yeah, something like that.
It's a little bit his game, the way he plays, hold on to ball, extending plays, trying to make those big plays. But it's also they're not putting the guys around him. And last year he was a Talks MVP for a while. And then I think he just started to get uncomfortable behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
He kind of seen his play start to decline, and so a few more interceptions than what he started the season off of with. And I think that led to a frustration point where he's like, trade me to this team. I'll be open to being traded to this team, this team, this team, and this team. Or y'all start listening to me. Go give me some offensive linemen. Go give me some players around us so we can actually go back and achieve what we achieved before. Because the same structure of how it was when they won the first time is not going to win the second time. And I think Russ is starting to see that, like, if I can't do it, if they don't make changes here, then I'm going to have to go somewhere else because he's not satisfied with just his one.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You're going to get winning with Russ. I know he's won. He hasn't had a losing record in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get Russ, that comes with winning. He has proven a lot. He's done a lot for this team. He's been third-round pick, came in and won the job, and has done nothing but win, like I said. So you definitely want to keep him happy, I would say. But at the end of the day, I don't think you break a limb for him. You don't do this, do that. You still got to stay true to who you are as a team and what your goals, your requirements for like the team, what you want to bring in, the culture, like we've always talked about. But for sure, you definitely want to keep him happy. You definitely want to surround him with talent. You got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. But this team, I feel like is more successful when they have a solid O-line and can run the ball and then let Russ do his thing off play action. I think a lot of quarterbacks succeed off that.
Yeah.
But this isn't the same team. Like, this is no Legion of Boom no more. That side of the ball has not the vocal point now of this team. This probably is more focused on offense now. Because you got Russ, you paid him, you gotta surround him. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like last year the running backs got hurt.
Yeah.
They kind of abandoned the run game.
Yep.
But that put more pressure on Russ. They was slinging the rock everywhere.
Yep.
But the defense couldn't keep up with the scoring match. Like, I know Jamal was hurt for a portion of the year, but it can't be all one player. It's not make or break with just one player.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, definitely some drama with Russ. I know, like, how would you, like, hey, my offensive line is not playing that good, and what if like Russ comes back and then he sees that old line, and hey guys,
Stay
we gotta bring it together. We gotta play better. But they did get Gabe Jackson. I know he's from the Raiders, solid guard. So hopefully that kind of brings Rush's spirits up, and they can kind of just improve on that.
Yeah.
Got Gerald Everett, a really good tight end. I know QB best friend can be his tight end.
Yeah, that's facts.
But yeah, big question is, will he still leave? There's still a possibility of him being traded, and there's still rumors out there. And Saints can be, they know Drew Brees retires, so the Saints can come out and make a push for him. I know Chicago has still not down on him.
I mean, what Chicago did was they added Andy Dalton, which could be a part of a trade. You think?
Yeah, maybe.
Good. Like, if that's what they really wanted, like, put Andy Dalton in there and then some other key players and some future draft picks. I think 90% sure that Russ is gonna be back at Seahawk.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm pretty positive now that the Cowboys signed Dak and Bears got Andy Dalton. I don't see the John Gruden trying to trade for, because he traded all his draft stock away already. Like, why would you do that again?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if that's how he wants to build his team, like,
yeah, it's definitely interesting. But yeah, I agree. Especially with Seattle and their position that they're in. You have your quarterback. If you're going to trade a quarterback, you got to have a plan going forward to replace that position. You're not going to trade Russ to Chicago and not get something in return for a quarterback that's solid. You can't just do that. And then, because you got to hit on these draft picks as well. On these draft picks, you don't know if they're going to be successful in the league or not. So that's just a lot of uncertainty. So, you don't want to get rid of Russ and not get something in return that can succeed. That just is not smart to do. But yeah, you're right. Cowboys are solidified. Maybe we'll go to Seattle or the New Orleans, but who would they get in return? Like we were talking about Chicago, who would they get in return for QB? A lot of these teams that he's linked to, they don't really have something that they can kind of return. So maybe we see a dark horse team come in these talks, and then Russ does have a no trade clause. So maybe they go to Russ and be like, hey, we got this team that's willing to trade for you. Are you open to a trade for them? And maybe he comes to a realization, okay, I'll open my market to that team, and then they make a trade. So, maybe that's possible,
That'd be interesting. I mean, he's in a good spot to win.
Yeah.
Their culture is solidified. 12th man going to be back. You feel me? Jamal Adams is going to hopefully be healthy. I think Bobby Wagner, you feel me? They have pieces there. It's just, do they have enough to take that step again? And I don't know how confident Russ is in his team. And if your leader's shaking, you feel me? His mind's already on certain areas and certain places. Like, it could divide the locker room. It could divide the culture. And that's just another distraction. Like, as we seen last year with the Cowboys, like, the quarterback controversy is never a good thing for your franchise.
Yeah, that's something you never want. You always want that to be a solid position and kind of work on everything else, because the quarterback is the most important position in football. But yeah, definitely. I know one thing for Rush, you're never going to question his work ethic. He's going to go out there and work. And he worked with your teammates all the time. I know he has his own field. There's a logo on it. So, that's never going to be a question. That's never going to be a doubt with him. But we'll see, it's real interesting. I know that's a big decision if they want to make it. But, glad we're not in charge of making that decision, because that can get you fired easily if you don't get the compensation back that you want. And then, or like let's say you trade him and don't get a quarterback for the future, don't have a plan, you can get fired off that. So, that's a big decision.
It is.
But yeah, we'll break down the offense and defense. Look at the offense first. 8th overall, 16th passing, 12th rushing, 8th in scoring, averaging about 28.7 points a game. And then, like we were talking about, gave up 48 sacks, tied 5th worst in the NFL. So they need O-line help to keep Russ happy, because that's one thing that he was kind of pointing towards. Hey, I haven't had a solid O-line my whole time that I've been here, and they haven't really put the assets to give him an O-line. They haven't spent the money. They've always kind of relied on draft picks and kind of getting linemen through the draft, or a veteran minimum offensive lineman. They haven't really focused on that O-line. They kind of just been getting just draft picks and kind of hoping that they hit on those draft picks. But
yeah, I think that's kind of like a testimony to Russ though in his game, because
yeah,
I think they kind of abused it in a way that he can do these things and he can extend plays and still win a whole lot of games without us spending a lot of money in this area. But now that
yeah,
he's getting older, I mean, you seen it with Tom Brady as he gets older. Like, you flinch in the pocket a little bit more. You're not as tough standing in that pocket after you get hit that so many times. Like, I mean, with him, I think he sees longevity in his career, and he's not going to get that taking hits, being the most sacked player in NFL history. Like,
yeah.
more.
And then if you're us too, you look at all the teams in division. You got Aaron Donald, one team. You can look at the Cardinals. You got Chandler Jones, and they just added J.J. Watt. And then you got San Francisco, Nick Bosa coming back, and then they got more first rounders on that D line. So you're like, hey, I got all these pass rushers coming off of me. Who's gonna block them? So definitely they got to address that. I know they kind of did with Gabe Jackson. So we'll see if they want to add someone else in the draft or go trade for someone. You definitely want to protect your quarterback. I know they probably had the luxury of Russ being so young and be able to break tackles, maneuver in that pocket back there, but that just doesn't last forever, like we talked about. You definitely want to protect your quarterback, and especially with his stature, he's 5'10". He's not the
Not the biggest
biggest
guy.
guy in the world, so you definitely want to protect his interior so he can kind of see the field, because he is a great quarterback. So for sure.
Defense. It's hard to believe that they were 15th this year, but it's probably because their rush defense, their front seven is a solid stout. Their pass defense, like we said, Jamal got hurt. He didn't really have a lot of production as a DB per se, like not any. I think he had maybe one pick. Did he have picks?
I have no idea.
I think he either had one or none, which
He
is
probably had
like,
like a handful.
I don't think I think he had one or none. Like,
Yeah.
and that's not like Jamal Adams. Like, but he also did set the NFL record for most sacks by a defensive back in a season. So he plays in a way that, like, he's more in the box.
Yeah,
But
for
he
sure.
said he's the most versatile safety. Like, he could play anywhere, but like, I think he's most successful in the box.
Yeah, and he missed 5 games. So
Yeah, he missed a lot. And the other guys, you said they had a Pro Bowl safety. What was his name? Diggs.
Quandre Diggs, I think, something like that. But yeah,
Quentin? Was it Quentin? I don't know.
it was
But
Diggs. I know his last name was Diggs.
yeah, he was like 37 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I know that. Yeah, they had 2 Pro Bowl safeties this year.
Yeah, so they should. I think they're gonna need to get some cute cornerbacks. I don't know if that's how they want to go in a draft or maybe sign some guys, but they definitely need some help in their secondary.
Yeah, for sure.
31st overall and passing that's not gonna win you any type of game. I mean, they won games, but like, that's not gonna win you when it matters, especially in the playoffs.
That's just a high scoring game because you got that offense scoring a lot of points too.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that's how they kind of lost in the playoffs to the Rams. Like, Jared Goff's not the best, but like, he did enough to win that game. So if Jared Goff throwing like that on y'all, like, you got to reevaluate, because I don't see him like that.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, definitely this defense was lopsided. Like you were saying, 31st pass, 5th rush. Some highlights. Only 3.9 rushing Rushing yards per rush, so that's tied fourth. Then you look at the passing, gave up 285 passing yards. That's second worst. So it's
Damn
definitely
near
lopsided.
damn near 300 yards a game through the air.
Yep. And then 47.1% on third down, bottom third of the NFL.
That's 50, almost 50%.
Yep.
You keeping your defense on the field. They are controlling the time of possession. They are owning your defense. And with their offense being the way it was, like they had some explosive plays. So I feel like that defense was on the field a lot.
Probably. Yes.
Latest stats. So.
Yeah, and then they're probably passing on third down too. And then that's not your strong point. So, that could be a testament to like what we're seeing right there in those stats.
Exactly.
But they did have 46 sacks. I know in the first part of the year, they weren't really getting after the quarterback. They were terrible. And then they kind of made a trade for Carlos Dunlap. I know they brought him back on a 2-year deal after releasing him. And then Jamal Adams came back too after missing like 5 games, and he had 9.5 sacks himself.
That's impressive.
So, yeah, they were able to kind of do some things with their playmakers to kind of generate some more pressure on the quarterback, because that's something that they struggle with in the first half of the season. And you definitely have to get after the quarterback. You don't want him sitting back there pretty, being able to scan the field, because you can't cover receiver all day. It's just,
especially in the NFL.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not going to say impossible, but it's not really like probably a 75% chance you got to cover him for more than 5 seconds,
And it's unrealistic, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
like we kind of say, like your pressure gives you interceptions and your coverage gets you sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So like they kind of play off of each other. So if you have a super good front, you would think that the secondary would be making some plays and getting some turnovers, picks, PBUs, like, but it didn't really seem like it doesn't show that in statistically. And I mean, they won games, but ultimately the goal is they want to be in that Super Bowl. And that's just one spot you need to get better at before y'all back in those.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of these wins are probably 1-score games where they like last second, their offense had a score. Because they probably teams are scoring hella on them, especially in the first half of the year when they weren't getting pressure. The quarterback was just able to throw the ball around, sling that rock. But yeah, definitely defense needs improvements, and I don't know how they're gonna do it, because you look ahead to the draft, they don't have a first-round pick. They traded that away to the Jets for Jamal Adams.
Yep.
They only have 3 picks in this year. They have a second, a fourth, and a seventh. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I know this team historically has always tried to trade down and accumulate more draft picks. But we'll see. They don't really have a lot to work with. I think they're kind of stuck in a pickle, basically. So we'll see. You got drama with Russ. You got to pressure on that to improve the O-line, add maybe one more weapon. Then you got a defense that you got to fix as well. And then you're limited with money because you paid everyone, and then you're limited with draft stock because you use that to get players. So it's kind of they're in a tough predicament. So
DBs don't come cheap no more.
Yeah, for sure.
They focal points and they get paid. And I've been seeing a lot of 1-year deals all around the league.
Yep.
That might be due to the new contract coming up, but I think it's a lot of like prove it to play it, like prove your contract here. You feel me? Like around the league, I see that.
Yeah, definitely. Like you were saying, a lot of these people are getting 1-year deals. Because they don't see this year. The market went down. The cap went down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they get a 1-year deal. Market goes back up. They can get a bigger paycheck next year. So maybe that's kind of something that Seattle can do, bring in some veterans on cheap deals, veteran minimums, because that's probably what they're going to do. It's probably what they need, because they don't really have, like we talked about, they don't really have all of that capability to improve the team or bring in a lot of players.
Right. I heard about Richard Sherman.
Yeah,
have you
possibly.
heard? I heard Richard Sherman's in talks with them. That would be interesting.
That'd be super interesting.
But you're not gonna pay him $10 million like Malcolm Butler got or Pat P got. Like he's not that dude no more. He's last year he was hurt. You feel me? You're not gonna pay a guy to just sit on the bench. I mean, obviously you need that culture and he's been there,
Yeah.
especially with that team, his culture with that team. I mean, it would be tough to see because I think they ended on bad terms. I'm not sure.
I think
I
so
think,
too, to be honest.
yeah, I think they got like super blatant about how Pete Carroll handled that Super Bowl when
Yeah.
he threw the ball instead of running the ball with Marshawn. I
Yep.
think it kind of ended salty there, but I don't know. That'd be interesting. I mean,
Definitely. That would be interesting. I did see that too, and I think he was talking about like a little reunion thing. But
yeah,
I don't know exactly what he was talking about and what exactly was going on in that conversation. But that would be definitely interesting.
that'd be cool.
Definitely a headline. But that wraps up Seattle. A lot of question marks on that team going forward, and we'll see what they do. But they win. They won the division last year. They always compete.
They up there.
But we'll look at the Rams now. 10-6 last year. Solid team. You got a great defense. Question marks at QB. They did get rid of Jared Goff. They also lost John Johnson, a safety, and then they also traded Michael Brockers as well. Um, but they did add Matthew Stafford, like we talked about. You did give up. You traded Jared Goff, 2021 third round pick, and then first round picks next year and the following year in 2023. So, this team has never been shy of trading their first round picks. They traded their first round picks for Jalen Ramsey, and they're going to do it again for Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
Um, but, Sean McVay probably got tired of Jared Goff. Hey, he can't do this. He turns the ball over too much. I need someone that I can rely on to make plays with their capabilities. And I think Matthew Stafford has kind of been hitting in Detroit with just an unstable organization. He probably had like three head coaches, probably multiple offensive coordinators. Just not a lot of
More than that.
stability there.
He probably had a new
Yeah, I know he had
head coach every year,
Jim
other year.
Caldwell. Jim Caldwell was there for a little bit, and then Dan
Mhm.
Patricia. So I don't know, or
They
Matt
had
Patricia, but we'll see. Yeah,
at least.
yeah, we know that that's just not an organization that's stable right now, at least.
Mm.
But yeah, they bring in Matthew Stafford. I think that's a good pickup, to be honest. He's a kind of. I know a lot of these NFL players. They see the throws he makes. They see the talent and the plays that he's capable of making. So
Yeah,
that he's like every time they play Detroit, he's like, all right, we got Matthew Stafford, we got to stop him, and then that's probably it because then only got no more other threats.
right.
Um,
Very capable quarterback.
yeah,
And I think he gives you something that Jared Goff doesn't. And that's like veteran explosiveness plays, like toughness, like
yeah,
not going to turn the ball over too much. And I think he's just better. He's just better. Like
I agree. Yeah,
people know, like you either have it or you don't. Like
yeah,
it's as
easily,
simple as that.
especially at
And
quarterback.
yeah, I mean, you sending a lot of picks away. You kind of like going all in now, like
Yeah,
on
for
the
sure.
whole team basically. And I don't see why they couldn't be right up in those talks again. I think Matthew Stafford could comeback player of the year, maybe some slide of MVP talks. I'm not sure. I mean, I know they're mostly a defensive team. They're number
Yeah,
one overall defense, but like this offense, I think they should be excited. I
yeah,
think
for
they
sure.
have something to be excited about this year.
Yeah. We'll kind of break down the offense, but this offense is subject to change because they brought in a whole new quarterback. So a lot of these things that we won't see next year. But they were the 22nd overall offense, 13th pass, and 10th offense or rushing. 43.4% on third down. 14 interceptions. That's a little too much for me. And then they did only have 71 penalties, so that was second best. So Sean McVay does know what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball and can tell his players, and they trust him to be able to be put into certain positions, situations where they can succeed and trust their play caller.
Yeah, I think he's proven that already with
Mhm.
his offensive genius and
Yeah,
ability to build culture, and it's shown because I mean he always in playoffs or around
yeah,
a double digit win season. I think what really held this offense back was Jared Goff. He
yeah,
just never seemed to be confident after that that Super Bowl that he had was just atrocious.
Yeah, only
I
scoring
haven't
10
seen.
points,
I
6 points, something like that.
honestly, I don't even remember that Super Bowl. It was just so bad.
Yeah,
But the offense this new year, I think who they got Cup. What's
we
his
got
name?
Cooper Kupp, we got Robert
Cup.
Woods, we got
Robert
Cam
Woods.
Akers, a running back,
Cam Akers was good last year.
Tyler Higbee at tight end,
Yeah, he's
and then you got a young O line too. So I think they're solid. They're just missing that one piece, and they hopefully that missing piece was Matthew Stafford to kind of take this team
he
over the
played.
top.
Yeah, I think the deep ball is gonna be like crazy for them this year.
Yeah, and
He
it's
gets everything.
yeah, and in this offense, it probably doesn't ask too much of you either. I know they do a lot of motions, a lot of misdirections. So he's gonna be able to kind of come in and not rely like, hey Matthew, we're gonna have you throw 30, 40 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, they're gonna have him. They're still gonna run the same offense. He's gonna keep these defenses looking everywhere in the backfield, don't know where the ball is, and then Matthew Stafford's gonna go back there and sling it around. I know they do a lot of drag routes, a lot of wide receiver screens. So and they're gonna be able to throw that ball around deep now with Matthew Stafford. So it'll be really interesting to see how this offense plays out throughout the whole year.
Right. Defense,
solid.
Defense, number one overall, first in the passing defense, third in rushing defense. I mean, that probably goes to your testimony of you having Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, two of the best at their position on your defense. But also, like, they have a lot of other guys that are getting contracts now that, like, that safety Johnson. I think they had another corner. I think his name was Hill. His last name was Hill.
Troy Hill.
Troy Hill. I think he left too.
I think they both went to Cleveland.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
But those are going to be some big spots that need to be filled. I'm interested to see how they do. I don't see them dropping much further than maybe like 5th, 6th, but you losing some key guys. They still have a whole lot of talent.
Lost Michael Brockers. They did re-sign Leonard Floyd. He had a little breakout year this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you were saying, this defense top 3 at least in everything. 53 sacks, second best. Only under 200 yards, passing yards a game. That's huge.
Unbelievable.
Passer rating was 80.4, second best in NFL. Only 17 passing touchdowns, first in the NFL. And they're first in scoring defense, only giving up 18.5 points a game. So those are all really, really impressive. That's like historically good, I would say, maybe possibly up there.
It's probably, I don't know about the points per game historically, just because.
Probably not that, but like all the other stats.
The other things around it, like for this modern day defense, like that's probably gonna stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
Because now that the way the NFL is being played, like it's a whole different game, a whole passing, throwing it all the time. Like, but really for this defense, I don't know, just how do these guys step up? Then these next dudes step up and fulfill those roles that are left because of free agency and money demands and yada yada.
Yeah. And I know they don't have a lot of cap space either. And they gotta make some room.
Exactly.
But yeah, they also did lose their coordinator too, Brandon Staley. So we'll see. They brought in what's his name?
From Chargers?
From Falcons. Morris. I think Morris.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but they brought him in, so hopefully they don't really see that much of a drop off. I mean, you still have your core players. So I got Aaron Donald, I think 2-3-time defensive player of the year. You got Jalen Ramsey, best corner in his prime. So you probably won't see too much of a drop off, but they did lose some key players like we talked about. We'll see what they do to kind of see what they do in the draft, sign some young players. Maybe they got players on the team already that they can kind of step up and take those roles upon themselves. But yeah, definitely this defense was fast. Defense was amazing. Basically, it was fun to watch. They weren't just boring. They were fun to watch because they would sack the quarterback. They got superstars basically.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
yeah, we're
funny
looking.
to watch Jalen Ramsey
Yep.
take out a number one wide receiver every game. I
Yeah.
mean, I play defensive back, so I know, and that type of shit excites me. But it's not for everybody. But Jalen
For sure.
Ramsey highlight reel, like
Yeah.
whether it is a run, he picking dudes up, ball falling out, like he everywhere.
Yeah. Definitely. But this team, like we said, they don't really have a lot of first round picks within the next 3 years because they've been trading away. Like this year, they got no first round pick because they gave it to the Jaguars for Jalen Ramsey. And then they got 1 second round, and they do have like 3 first round picks. So hopefully they hit on those third round picks, or maybe use some of those to trade up to the second round, or yada yada, whatever they want. They got some little bit of flexibility compared to like Seattle, where they're just like stuck. Um,
Yeah.
but we know this team has hit like in the past when the draft picks. They got Cam Akers in the second and third round last year. He was able to produce. He's probably the starter this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can kind of use those draft picks, maybe get some DBs to kind of fill those roles because they don't probably ask a lot because they have that pass rush.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think
So,
this team is destined to make a run. Basically, got a strong defense. You already got an offense there in place. Then you upgrade the quarterback position and for Matthew Stafford. So I think a lot of people expect big things from this team. Um,
mm-hmm.
so yeah,
I sure do. I mean, I'm expecting at least double digits again, double
yeah,
digit wins. I
yeah, for
mean,
sure.
if the expectation is not to win the division, you definitely got to make the playoffs. Like the Rams, they're always consistently there. They've been to the Super Bowl recently. Now that they have a new quarterback, like if they can put it all together, I don't see why they can't be like one of the top 5 teams this year.
Yeah, easily. But yeah, that wraps up for the Rams. Take a look at the Arizona Cardinals, 8-8 this past year.
Game
Up and
last.
coming team. They did lose Hassan Reddick and a long time veteran in Patrick Peterson. It's kind of hard for a lot of Arizona fans to see him go, but he probably couldn't pay him $10 million that he's getting in Minnesota. So you kind of cut your losses. At the end of the day, this is still a business. You got to do what's best for the team business wise. But yeah, they did add J.J. Watt was the first signing, and then they made a splash with that. And they got A.J. Green, went out and traded for Rodney Hudson, a Pro Bowl center from the Raiders, and then they just went out and got Malcolm Butler as well, a veteran corner that they needed.
How
It's a
much is he
1 year
getting
deal.
paid?
I think $3 million base, and then it can be worth up to $6 million with incentives.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, very team friendly deal. Because they did give J.J. Watt 2 year deal. They're up to 31 million. I think like 28 guaranteed. So that did take a lot, but you do expect a lot when J.J. Watt comes in.
Not just a producer, but like a culture establisher, and that's probably the biggest thing this team needs. They have identity issues sometimes, especially on their defense. Like they don't come to play all the time. They have dudes. They've been had the dudes around. Like they can do it. It's just they never. I feel like they never had that real leadership. I feel like JJ
Agreed.
Watt's gonna bring that to this team, and I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure. They are signing a lot of veterans, but they are in the 30s. So this is kind of showing that they're trying to go all in and take advantage of Kyler's contract and make a run in the playoffs. Because all these players are probably on the back end of the career.
Yeah.
I still believe JJ Watt has some left in the tank, probably 2-3 more years. Probably not play all 17 games and be 16 sacks, but come playoff time, he's still going to be able to get back there and get after the quarterback with Chandler Jones.
Yeah, I think that's one thing y'all should really focus on is like doing enough to like win, but not overworking those guys. So like once you can get into your playoff and they can be like how they did Leonard Fournette last year with the Bucks. Like they didn't ride him all year and then expect him just to go crazy.
Yeah.
They let Rojo, the young back, take the carries, and he did a lot of the work. And then when it came to finishing games, bring that big boy in. You feel me? Solidify, especially on defense. Like And I really like the AJ Green because you have D Hop on the other side, and he draws so much attention. And bringing in
Yep.
another dog like AJ, who has something to prove, he hasn't been in the playoffs for such a long time, and he hasn't had that limelight. Like
Yeah.
just having him with Kyler, I feel like it's just gonna be. He has two dudes he can look to and be like, "Here we go." Like I
Yeah.
can just throw it up type thing. Like
Yeah, easily. And then AJ Green, the first time in his career, is not going to be the number one priority to stop. Even last year, who else do the Bengals have? He was probably getting doubled. He didn't have the stats weren't there. Um, but I know I heard something like he was targeted 100 and something times, and like 38 of those targets were uncatchable balls. So and then he did have after Joe Burrow went down, he had some iffy quarterback play from Ryan Finley and Brandon Allen, I believe. Hopefully he can come in. He says he has a lot in the tank left, and I believe him. For 1 or 2 more years possibly. But yeah, and then went out and got Rodney Hudson, Pro Bowl center. Kind of solidifies that interior. Because you can't have Pro Bowls all on the whole offensive line. You got to have like little stepping or little pieces in there to kind of help everyone around that line be better. Brought him in from the Raiders. I know he was expected to get released. And then the Cardinals probably called him up like, hey, we don't want him to hit the market because, once he hits the market, one team can blow him away with the contract.
yeah,
So you
that's
kind of
true.
go get him, and they only gave up a third-round pick for a Pro Bowl center. So that's solidified right there. And then, like we said, Malcolm Butler, something that they didn't need.
Yeah.
But we'll break down his offense now. 13 overall, 17th in passing, and 7th in rush. 22 rushing touchdowns, fourth best in the NFL. I know Kyler had probably half of those, and then Kenyon Drake probably. They both had double digits. I know that for a fact. But I know something that riddled this team was 113 penalties against them, first in the NFL. I watch this team every Sunday. This team had so many penalties, and maybe they were touchdowns, big plays. To me, that shows that a lot of yards are left out there. A lot of yards, a lot of big plays, missed opportunities, and they can be potential drive killers. You're on a run, you're in rhythm, and then you get a penalty, brings you back, and then kind of stalls the drive. So if they can kind of fix that up, I think bringing in Rodney Hudson, he only had like 3 penalties within the past 3 years, and the center position this past year had like 6 himself. Hopefully that brings it down and helps everyone on that line kind of bring some discipline.
Yeah, they bring a lot of leadership there in that position.
Yeah, for sure.
And that will help Kyler as well because
Yep.
having a veteran center in front of you, calling out protection, seeing if they can be on the same page, the Cardinals have unbelievable talent on the offense. Like
Yeah.
that brings me back. Did Kenyon Drake left, huh?
Yep. It went to the Raiders.
Yeah, he left. So that's interesting too. I mean, how does that what's it, Emmons?
Chase
Edmonds.
Edmonds. Yeah.
Yeah, he got to step up. I don't know if he's an every down back.
I don't know either.
He might go through the draft, might get a second, third rounder running back. I can see it.
Yeah. Definitely. Because they still can still address it in free agency. They've always played that been patient in free agency, let kind of things fall into place, and then take advantage when they see an opportunity in front of them. Yeah, there's definitely. I think this offense can be in the top 5 in the league easily. They got Kyler Murray, can sling the ball, can make every throw, and then he can rush. Probably only Lamar's faster than him, if that.
Yeah, he out there with the Lamar type running
Yeah,
at
so
quarterback.
he's dynamic, explosive. This offense is explosive, and at times you saw that you thought they were unstoppable, and then sometimes they kind of, when they would meet a Belichick defense, they kind of were going through battles. So we'll definitely see. Hopefully they watch the tape, see how those teams attack them, because teams are gonna watch that film. All right, this is how we stop them. Because this is a copycat league. So we'll see. Hopefully they make adjustments to kind of see what they were missing. But yeah, we'll see. Take a look at the defense: 12th overall, 10th in passing, and 22nd in rushing. Yeah, this watching them, they would give up Big plays in the rushing game. 12th in scoring defense, giving up 22.9 points a game. 104 penalties again, third worst. Um, Maybe I know that was a lot of corners too. A lot of Patrick Peterson, I felt like, was grabbing, holding, some little things that they were doing. This team, this NFL, now they just throw flags on everything. Now you can't touch these receivers no more.
That's a fact.
You pull on them in a little flag holding. So hopefully you can kind of clean up on that.
Yeah.
Um, but this team did have a lot of sacks though, 48, fourth best. Without Chandler Jones too, went down like week 5 or 6 with the torn bicep.
Yeah, I
So
was I was thinking that like that probably dealt into like how the rushing game was a little bit lagged because of some injuries, some key injuries, but I was
mhm.
surprised. 48 sacks, that means some other dudes was getting to the QB, and I
Yeah.
feel like the Cardinals can attack you from like different everywhere. Like they have dudes in the secondary that could come and blitz like Buda Baker, or they can hit you from a linebacker, or just Isaiah Simmons, or you feel me? They hit you for so many different
Yeah.
areas. It's like they have just personnel everywhere.
Nah,
And
it's crazy.
like to me, it's like, how are y'all not successful? Like, how are y'all not up there every
Mhm.
year? And
Yeah.
I think that's what JJ Watt, if he can bring everyone together, Malcolm Butler, Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, probably the biggest play in their history. Like,
And that very stadium is gonna play in 8 times a year now.
right. So
But yeah,
it's
and then they
crazy.
did they did blitz a lot, 39.4%, fourth most in the league. So that's kind of how they got after the quarterback too. They had a little, they call it jet package, where a bunch of them just line up on the line. They're kind of like small ball, I guess. They don't really have like a D tackle or whatever. They kind of just like a bear package, I guess. They all just stand up on the line,
Yeah.
and they either all go, or they kind of fake them out. 4 go, 2 3 drop back. So they were able to kind of play with that because they had the versatility within that their personnel with Isaiah Simmons, Devontae Campbell. They were able to do a lot. Especially they had to figure something out because Chandler Jones went down.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, bringing in JJ Watt, get back Chandler Jones. I know the number one, number two most sacks since like 2012. Um,
Domination. That's
they
gonna
get
be.
hopefully Isaiah blossoms into more of a role. I know later in the year he was getting more playing time and making plays. Love to see that because he's a monster.
I
6'4",
love,
running a 4.4.
I
Crazy.
love, I love to see him get a new number too. I don't know. I don't.
I don't know. I
I
kind of
don't, I
fuck with
don't
that
like.
48. I
You
don't
like
know.
it? I
Kind
don't
of do.
know. I don't
He's
know.
a linebacker though, so he kind of limited on what he can pick as a number.
Yeah, I can see like a 44 would be hard, or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought
41,
too.
like
41.
something like
Yeah.
that. But like
Yeah.
48, I mean, he can make it cool. He can make it cool.
Give me a first one, first for everything. But yeah, definitely this team has playmakers, superstars. Buda Baker went to Pro Bowl. Um, Maybe add a piece in the draft from the defensive side as far as corners. You never have enough corners in this league. Byron Murphy, hopefully he still gets better, and improves.
Yeah.
Like we said, Malcolm Butler, probably your number one corner now, because he had a passing grade like top 12 last year, I believe. So he's not diminishing in his play. He's still performing in this league. So that was a great signing, I believe, for only like up to 6 million. Even though it is a 1 year deal, that's kind of what has been happening around the league this year, and we've talked about that too, and have expected that. But like you talked about, this team does have a lot of players. They just got to bring it all together.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll look ahead of the draft. Had the 16th overall pick. I kind of hopefully they just go best player overall. I always like first round. Just go best player overall. If you're drafting on need over best player available, I don't think that really sets you up for success because if you draft on need, you're probably going to be reaching a little bit.
Well, I mean, it kind of like the market dictates what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
So like if you have a guy that you're really high on and he's there, you take him at a position
yeah,
that you need. But if he's not there or you're not high on those guys, don't go picking reaching like you're saying. Like just go, especially in the first round, go and get the best dude that's available. And then you can kind of figure it out from there.
yeah, yeah, easily. So I know a lot of mock drafts have them linked to corner because they just are they don't really have a lot of depth or players even on the roster at corner.
Mm-hmm.
Something like J.C. Horn, maybe a Caleb Farley drops or a Patrick Surtain. So yeah, we'll see what they want to do and maybe they trade up, maybe they trade back, get more draft picks. I know they traded the third round pick to the Raiders, so we'll see what they would like to do. I know Steve Keim always loves to get more draft picks, but it's exciting for them, you know. And I started off 6-3 and then ended not so great, didn't make the playoffs. But yeah, I think within the upcoming years, this team is definitely exciting to watch, and then hopefully they can kind of win some more games.
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, me too. If they don't, I think it's kind of a letdown year.
Right.
But yeah, we'll look toward the 49ers. 6-10 last year after going to the Super Bowl. Team was decimated with players on IR. I know they had up to 18 players on IR with key players like Joey Bosa, D Ford, Jimmy G spent some time on there, along with George Kittle, Sherman, Raheem Mostert. List goes on and on.
On and on.
On and on. And they did lose some players. They lost Kendrick Bourne. They lost Witherspoon, their corner, Solomon Thomas. But they did bring in some players. They got Alec Mack, a solidified veteran at center. And then an edge rusher as well, I think from the Lions. But big splash this week. They go up from number 12 to the third overall pick. They gave up their 12th pick, their 2021 third pick, so this year's third, and then 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years, so 2022 and 2023. So what that tells me, basically, they're going to go get a QB.
You don't do that to the top 5 unless you're going to get a QB.
You don't do that unless you're in love with a guy and you've seen him. Because I talked to someone that I know is a Niners fan. I was like, who you think can go get? He was like, QB or O lineman. I was like, they're not getting an O lineman. You don't do that type of trade to go get an O lineman. It's a quarterback, no question about it. In my opinion, and I know a lot of other people have that same opinion as well.
I mean, if you are confident in Jimmy G, I don't think they are. I don't think they're sold on Jimmy G no more.
Yeah.
I think he's on the market. I mean, I've been hearing his name in trades with Patriots, but this trade moving them up into top 3, top 5, like I think I see them going QB. Yeah. I'm not sure which QB though. I'm thinking it's either Justin Fields or Trey Lance, to be honest. I think Kyle Shanahan wants a mobile quarterback. I think that will bring a lot more to his offense, which is already a very dynamic offense.
Yep.
O-line, I don't know about that. I hope it wasn't talking about Wawa.
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Man, you can't ask Wawa nothing about football.
I just had to talk to him a little bit, you know. But yeah, I agree. I think you definitely do that trade to go get someone, a QB, definitely. And then that leaves, where do they do with Jimmy G? Is he going to be traded? He does have that contract still. Does someone want to take upon that contract? Do you keep Jimmy G for 1 year, but you are trading up to the third overall pick? You don't want to wait and have him sit for a year. You want to have him play right away. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards more Trey Lance, or maybe Zach Wilson falls, or maybe even Mac Jones. I know his name. Because you don't do that trade if you don't are in love with the quarterback. And then I don't see Justin Fields because he hasn't even had his pro day yet. You haven't even seen him throw live, you know? So I don't think you do that trade without seeing him live. So that's why I'm leaning towards more Trey Lance, or maybe possibly even Mac Jones out of left field. You know, maybe they're in love with him.
I mean,
but we'll see. You know, I think they trust him. I kind of trust them. I think Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. So you know, they kind of fell in love with that quarterback, and they see all these other teams in the division getting better and better. So you know, they felt like they had to get better as well. And yeah, they kind of gave up some future, but you know, hopefully they really hit on this quarterback. I know these trades, if you hit on the quarterback, then we don't really talk about what you gave up for him unless they fail. And then they're like, oh, you gave up this, you gave up that. That's a loss.
Like we saw.
Yeah. So we'll see. That was definitely shake the draft up a little bit, you know. because it's interesting. We know Trevor Lawrence is going 1. We don't know what they're gonna do at 2. Possibly Zach Wilson. I know he had a great pro day. Jets can probably still believe in Sam Darnold because he hasn't had the best opportunity to succeed in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Very, very interesting. This just makes our job and breaking down these teams just more fun, brings more excitement. Like, oh,
What they doing? What they do? I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, definitely something that we can look forward to and kind of give us something to talk about. But yeah, that was interesting. They kind of jumped a lot of teams, like we were saying. I know the Eagles wanted to trade up to 3, because we all knew the Dolphins wanted to kind of trade back, get more assets. I think that solidifies the Dolphins building around Tua now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, this exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, their offense, Kyle, I don't think these numbers or the ranking of it really is what it is because they had so many injuries.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same team.
Yeah.
And once they get these guys back, and hopefully we'll see if they do in the draft with the QB, whether they want to do Jimmy Garoppolo for a year or whatever. We can see these numbers go right back to where they were last year.
Yeah.
Before that, 17 interceptions, 3rd worst in the league. You can't turn the ball over and expect to win. You got to win the turnover battle.
And they were playing with 2 backups, 2nd and 3rd string, because Jimmy was hurt like more than half the year probably.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they weren't very good on 3rd down. 39%. You need that 45 plus. Defense was solid, but hurt.
Yeah, easily. But like you're saying on the offense, this team has run first, I would say, because their run again with the misdirection, a lot of movement in the backfield, that sets up for their passing game. So like let's say they run on 1st and 2nd down, it gives them into manageable 3rd down, some more favorable 3rds down, and then they have backup quarterbacks this year, so maybe they weren't doing that, and that led to those interceptions, those mistakes. But yeah, that offense does not reflect what they're capable of. Because when they had Jimmy G, I mean, they're solid. They win with him, but it's just a matter of him being on the field, and he's missed a whole bunch of games. So you can't really. You're only as good if you're available. If you're not available, you're no good to the team, basically. So yeah, like we said, we'll see what they want to do with that draft pick, and then hopefully they're solidified with that QB position.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how much they would have to eat if they were to trade. How much?
Yeah, true. I think he has due like 25 million or somewhere around there. But yeah, maybe he goes back to the Patriots where he was originally from, but we never know. We'll see. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
That's a good thing about football in this time of year.
Yep, we don't know what to expect basically. And then, like you said, defense, D-line was hurt the whole year. Corner with Sherman was hurt. Tart was hurt. Fred Warner was basically the highlight of this defense. 17th overall, 4th passing, 7th rushing. This team was hard to rush on. Only gave up 12 rushing touchdowns, tied 4th best. And then they were really good, solid on 3rd down, only giving up, allowing teams to convert 35.5% on 3rd down, 4th best. So this defense is still solid. They still had Robert Saleh as their leader, as a coordinator. So he was able to still rally this team and kind of get them to play, even though the offense wasn't producing or making plays, putting them in bad positions.
Right.
So, and then they're only getting superstars back as far as Bosa and basically Bosa. He was the rookie of the year 2 years ago. So that's a big part. But yeah, I see this team competing again,
I'm excited. I don't know. Because when if they do go QB in the draft, I want to see how they handle that situation first before I put where they're gonna go. Because I don't know, with a rookie quarterback, I don't put too much expectations There's very few rookie QBs that come in and really dominate the league.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This team could
Yeah.
all this division overall is probably the
Solid.
best division in football.
Yeah.
And the 49ers, they're in a tough spot right now, being the 14 because all these other teams look like they should be in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's a little. You could put all four names in a hat and grab one out, and you have a solid chance of winning if you whatever team you pick.
Right.
But a little throwback too that I heard with Kyle Shanahan. This is kind of like a trade they did. If you remember back in the days when he was with the Redskins at the time, when they traded for RG3, they made that big trade to go up and get RG3. He was able to be Rookie of the Year that year. So I do think this offense is really QB friendly. So if they do get that quarterback, they can kind of ease him in and give him favorable plays to kind of help him slow the game down just a little bit to where he can get comfortable, and later in the year he can start reading defenses and kind of improving as far as that.
Yeah, he's a good coordinator as well. So
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll build a whole system around, especially around whoever they draft and build to their talents and stuff.
You don't do this without having a plan. They have a plan in place where they're gonna do this, do that. They're gonna go get that player that they get at 3. Like, you don't go trade and then like, all right, we're at number 3. Who should we get? Nah, they know who they want to go get. And yeah, exciting team. They made a move. Every team in this division has basically been maybe making moves as far as like the Cardinals going getting veterans, the Niners trading up, Rams went and got Matthew Stafford. I think the only team that hasn't really made big move is Seattle, but you got that the drama with Russ.
Yeah, that's a whole drama in itself.
Yeah, so this division is top notch, I would say. But yeah, we'll get into our picks. I'm gonna let you pick first this time. Who you got?
I got the Rams. Defense solidified. I mean, I don't expect them to be number 1 next year. It's a tough task to live up to that, but I'm expecting them to be top 5. Their offense only got better. I mean, they signed back the guys that they needed to, and they traded for Matthew Stafford. I mean, he's gonna do what Matthew Stafford always does, and he's gonna bring a mentality to that team. He's gonna bring an extra dynamic that Goff didn't have, and I just see this. I see him comeback player of the year talks, maybe some MVP votes, and the Rams go 11-5.
Yeah,
but they win the division. This is a tough division.
Yeah,
and I think I forgot what division you said they played, but they played a pretty tough division. I think
they play the South, the North, or maybe the NFC North, the AFC South. I'm not too sure about the rest, but I know they play those for sure. This whole division.
The schedule is probably not going to be the easiest, and
we'll see. That's definitely a solid pick. I know a lot of people have this team favored for this division. But I'm probably gonna be a little bit biased. I don't care. I'm gonna go with Arizona Cardinals for my division pick. Third year for this system with Kingsbury and Kyler. Third year together. I think they kind of they improved definitely last year from the first year. So I still kind of think they're making their way up and improving each year. Hopefully they can kind of put everything together, bringing in these veterans. Hopefully these veterans can produce like they did like back in 2015. Imagine if they had this team back in 2015. It'd be scary. But Kyler, dynamic quarterback, can basically do it all as long as he stays healthy. I know he protects himself really well. You got D-Hop still top 3, top 5 at least best receiver in the NFL. Hopefully they go get a running back. Offensive line is underrated, I believe. That defense, hopefully Buda Baker, Isaiah Simmons blossoms. Chandler Jones comes back solid. JJ Watt produces. I know JJ Watt was the most double team player last year in the NFL, so he's going to see a lot more 1-on-1s, and hopefully he can kind of see those numbers go up. But this team has a lot of potential. They just got to put it all together, and a full offseason, OTAs, mini camp. Got to hit in the draft and these draft picks to kind of contribute. I think they got it all. They're just gonna kind of, like I said, bring it all together. Hopefully, within the season, they just improve and then make a run in the Super Bowl. Hopefully, but I probably see them, like you said, 11-5, 12-4. I think that's how many wins you need in this division to win. But you got to win in your division first. You can't rely on winning the wild card. If you win your division first, you're in. I know last year they were 2-4 in the division, so you got to at least be 4-2. Got to improve that definitely. But we'll see. I know a lot of us didn't expect the Niners to be last in the division last year, and look what happened to them. So anything can happen, honestly. So we'll kind of see. Like maybe Seattle goes from first to worst, like the Niners did last year, with all that rush drama and all the limited draft picks they have. So we'll see. But definitely exciting. Like we said, I think it's one of the best divisions, if not top 2, probably.
The best, I think.
So yeah, exciting division. But yeah, that's gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. Break it down the NFC West. Thanks for tuning in to First Look Sports Talk. I'm your host, Angel, co-host Jayden. Follow us on Instagram. You already know. Subscribe, like, comment, like we always say. Give us your opinions on these, on what we talked about. Maybe we missed a point that you want to highlight on one of these teams. Give us your division picks. We always love feedback. Always love it. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. See y'all later.